Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is December the 2nd. So we are moving towards holiday season. And as you can see, I have my tree up. And in honor of the fact that we have new kittens in the house, the tree has been elevated up off the floor onto a table. It doesn't prevent them from knocking the ornaments off of the trees, but it does give us about a 3-second head start to grab them before they do so. So we're anticipating a bit of an interesting Christmas around here with the new little ones. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting week this week, I'm thinking, right? We've got Trump tootling off to NATO. We have got the next level of the impeachment inquiring going forward. This section is with the Judiciary Committee now under Jerry Nadland. So what I thought I would do is just take a bit of a look just literally at this week and see what we have going on. We've got Republicans, that John Kennedy guy, and I don't even know what state he's from, but he is now becoming a master at mimicking the Russian talking points about, Ukraine being part of the problem and the election, of 2016 and the meddling. And he was on, I think it was Meet the Press yesterday, and he rattled off a bunch of newspapers or publications that talked about the Ukraine interfering in the election, except when people actually tried to go back and look at the publications, none of them said anything about Ukraine. They were all talking about Russian meddling. So, we've got Trump's disciples in line doing what they need to do, right? It's kind of scary. We also had a couple of Democratic presidential nominees pulling out of the race this morning, ones who were literally sort of flatlined. So that's, kind of good, because that needs to become compressed a little bit, because right now, even though there's sort of those 4 front runners, you've got like energy that's really scattered around it, because it's just the presidential energy, if you will, is kind of going off in too many tangents. So frankly, I look forward to that number being reduced a little bit so that I can frankly get clear focus on kind of the top 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with, we're just going to look at an overview for the week of, December 2nd. I guess we'll go through to the 7th. And let's just see what's going to go on. While I'm doing that, people in Ontario, viewers from Ontario, and certainly viewers from the northeast part of the United States, stay safe, stay, warm. It looks like you guys are being battered with some really nasty weather, so safe on the roads. All right, let's see what we can find out here. So, come on down, I have a question. I want to take a look at, let's just do Washington this week. Washington this week. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that Trump, I guess it's this morning, he leaves for NATO. Okay. So, sort of an overview, right? This week you have, frankly, both parties assessing, taking stock, kind of figuring out where they are and kind of trying to figure out a strategy for moving forward. And so what you have is the Democrats with sort of a very systematic, this is how this is going to unfold, this is what we're doing. And you have the Republicans saying, okay, well, you know what, we're just going to get everybody's emotions all riled up. We're going to start, throwing stuff. We're kind of hesitating because honestly, we don't have anything to actually defend with. So we're just going to throw up a bunch of nonsense. And so you can look forward to more of that from the Republicans this coming week. But this is the thing, right? Is you've got justice starting to take a center place. So the focus really is going to be on those hearings. And even though I think some people might think those first couple of days might be a little bit dry because it really is about constitutional scholars and that kind of thing, explaining impeachment, etc. I actually think it's going to be quite fascinating because I think that this is not something that happens in your country very often. And so there's lots of people who really don't have a great deal of clarity on how exactly the thing works. And so I think it's going to be really interesting and really informative. So that's going to be going on. Alrighty. So for right now, there is a lot of worry. There's sort of a lot of anxiety, if you will, about what this week is going to look like. Because, first of all, you have Trump in London and the gathering of NATO. So, the Republicans, of course, are concerned and worried because he always goes off the rails, it seems, at those sort of, global conferences, if you will, because he's not afforded the respect that he thinks is his due. As president, the office is respected, but he as a man is not. And so the Republicans know that is just like, I don't know, lighting a match to dynamite. He blows up. He gets angry because he's not being treated like royalty, which is the bubble, frankly, that he attempts to live in the United States. So expect some real volatility coming out of London. And of course, Trump has a very, very low approval rating in London. And so there's going to be protesters, which of course he's going to be shielded from. And, he's going to be, there was just the attack, unfortunately, on London Bridge. You can just bet that he's going to have something to say about the mayor. Like, he is just going to be lashing out everywhere. And that's not a good thing, right? Because it creates an environment of real dis-ease. And the reality is, it's in his best interest to sort of create this chaos, because anything that he can do to distract from the hearings, he sees as to his advantage. So that's kind of going on. Meanwhile, you have more information coming out that the Republicans don't want to hear, and that they're not exactly very anxious to embrace. Now, I'm not quite sure what that's going to be about, but it definitely looks like it's going to have to do with assets, with money, possessions. Whether this is more insight about some sort of dark dealings or behind the scenes stuff going on, I don't have clarity on that, but I can tell you that there's going to be more information coming out, and the Republicans are not going to be very quick to want to embrace it. So, yeah. So here we have it. We have the government. We have them trying to shape one narrative, and the Republicans trying to shape another narrative. And honestly, depending on what channel you're listening to or where you get your news from, they're going to be very, very different narratives. Trump has announced that, at this point, they are not going to take part in the hearings. He's not going to be there. He's not sending any legal representatives. And they're throwing up all this smoke about why he shouldn't, he doesn't have witness names and or he can't name his own. It's just ridiculous. But that is going to continue because, let's face it, that's all the Republicans really have right now. It's not really going to work for him. This is the thing, right? You've got that base of his who's going to believe whatever, but for the rest of the country, and indeed, as other countries become more and more interested in what's going on as this impeachment process proceeds, the Republicans are really going to find themselves in a place where they are not on stable ground anymore. They're really not. They've got some significant and rather serious shakeups coming down the pike for them. So we're looking ahead at what I would consider a rather turbulent week. It feels very, very volatile, almost explosive in some ways. Definitely there is really that energy of just fighting back and being very angry and a lot of things that are being said that honestly, again, they just don't have any basis in actual reality. Oh, and there sits Donald Trump. So really, he also he's now got the Nine of Swords sitting there. He has Judgment sitting there. He's got the Tower sitting there. It's not looking really very good for him. So again, a lot of volatility there. And he's going to be disappointed. He's going to walk away from NATO. Do not be surprised if he leaves early. Do not be surprised if he has meetings with countries that are not necessarily the United States' strongest allies, because of course he doesn't want to play ball with the allies because they don't agree with the way he conducts himself and the way he's sort of running the country and the things he's doing. So he's going to, again, gravitate towards those leaders who are a little bit more in keeping with his belief structure. And again, there's that perpetual sense of trying to juggle. And it's not going to go so well for him because honestly, he's not really capable of it, right? Because unless you are praising him and telling him everything he does is wonderful, he really doesn't have any use for you. And on some level, he's trying to kind of, kind of play by the rules or make it at least seem as if he has some interest in participating, but he doesn't because he's going to start yelling and screaming about money. He's going to start about, again, how NATO isn't, carrying their weight. Countries aren't not doing what they should do. Don't be surprised if he doesn't somehow mix the Ukraine into that mess. And, again, the other thing I want to say is it's sort of an interesting thing. It really is that this year, NATO is going to be celebrating their 70th anniversary. And it's kind of curious to me that one renegade, out of control president, okay, granted from a big and powerful country, is able to create so much discord in something that was firm and solid for 69 years. So that's interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't sort of see a little bit of restructuring going forward with NATO. Because this is the thing. One of the things that Donald Trump, unfortunately, is very, very good at is he takes where there is a crack and he widens it. He takes where sort of not everyone is in sort of agreement, and he creates division. And so anything that's going on in NATO that just isn't as solid perhaps as it could be or should be or once was, he is very good at exploiting that kind of thing. And once that happens, everything starts to get a little bit shaky. So NATO, anticipate that there is not this week, but coming forward, there is actually going to be a real sort of review that goes on to ensure that those alliances are strong again, because they really have become sort of weakened under Trump's toxic influence, if you will. And so here we have, again, justice is coming, the truth is coming out, and again, more and more, not only Trump, are you going to see him sort of operating blindly without care or concern to the ramifications of things. You're also going to see some Republicans becoming even more reckless than they have been. And, when you're talking about that John Kennedy guy, you're talking about Lindsey Graham. I don't know off the top of my head what Republicans are going to be taking part in the hearings that start on Wednesday, but you can expect, again, that behavior from them where they're like a caged animal, right? They're cornered. And so they're going to lash out with everything they have. And unfortunately, what they have is lies, disinformation, hysteria, creating smoke, and muddying the waters. That's it. That's what they've got. That's what they're going to use. Yeah. So, you've got, I want to say even some sort of Republicans perhaps that were really hanging in there. I see some of that becoming a little bit just disappointed. Again, there is that group. It doesn't matter what you say or do. It doesn't matter what's out there. They're going to believe what they're going to believe. But you're going to again see a little bit of weakening in some of the numbers, some of the polling numbers. They were still holding very steady last week, which frankly I was a little surprised about, but they were still holding steady. But as this continues to build, you're going to see, I think, a softening of that going on. And again, this really defensive posture from the Republicans, and frankly, a rather secure and strong place that the Democrats are operating from, right? They are in the position of power right now, and they are moving ahead. They're getting everything lined up, and they're trying to present facts, and they're trying to do it in a way that creates emotional responses within people. Because let's face it, we react to that which evokes an emotion in us, whether that is happiness, fear, being scared, whatever it is, that is what we retain and react to. So as they're putting out this information, they're also trying to get the American people to sort of become involved, get a little bit more emotionally invested, if you will, in the process that your country is undergoing right now. There are going to be some gains made. There are going to be there's going to be some information coming out that doesn't sit very well And there's going to be even more kind of almost evidence of this behavior of, well, I need to stand with him because if I don't, he's going to attack. I'm going to be primaried. There's going to be a lot, honestly, there's going to be a lot more sort of spineless, weak behavior on display in the coming day and week. So again, there's going to be some gains for the Democrats. There's going to be some information coming out that's going to provide or prove to be helpful to them. There's going to be a little bit more clarity coming forward. Just even if it's just about the system that the country is involved in right now, you can look for some clarity and, a clearing, if you will, of some of the confusion or disinformation that's being pumped out there. If people are wanting to get the facts and the truth, it's actually going to be there for them to find out. So this Lover's card, I have to tell you, it's kind of got me a little stumped, and it's sort of being surrounded by some interesting cards here. So the Magician tells us that both sides are going to be using all of the tools at their disposal, all right? So the Democrats are going to be playing to their strengths. The Republicans are going to be playing to whatever they think their strengths are. And then you got Donald Trump in the middle, causing ruckuses and upheaval for those few days that he's in NATO. So just anticipate volatility, anticipate news, anticipate, maybe some more information coming about resources or assets or documentation coming forward that provides some insights or new information. So there's going to be a lot happening this week, but ultimately there's going to be disappointment and there's going to be heartbreak for those who are not sitting. I have it somewhere. Anyways, wherever it is, for those who are not sitting on the side of justice, okay? Because the truth must win. It simply has to. That is the evolution. That is the energy. The truth eventually comes out. And as the truth continues to unfold, you're going to again see more people walking away in disappointment, destined to walk away in disappointment. You're going to see some people hanging on almost to the ridiculous. They're going to say stuff that is so outrageous because that's all they actually have to hang on to. And you're going to see reputations continuing to get really damaged, really, really damaged. People who have chosen to hang tough in the Republican Party, people who have, decided that they could ride this out, they are wrong. Their messages are not working, and they're not going to be able to move themselves out of the choppy water they're in. They're simply not. There is not enough energy that wants to stay hidden, if you will, right? More and as this continues to unfold, more and more people are going to be looking for the actual facts because, again, the vast majority of people only pay attention to politics if it specifically is impacting or affecting them, or it's election time. Beyond that, the average person really is quite disassociated. But something like an impeachment tends to garner energy and people start to move, gravitate. They gravitate towards it. Now, caution you, this is a very interesting time of year. There's my Fool card for Trump. This is a very interesting time of year because this is going on right up to the holiday lead up. And so people are simply distracted. And so it's going to be sort of interesting to see how that ends up getting juggled so that the information can come out and the insights that need to be put out there are going to be put out there. And, to sum up this entire thing, you've got Donald Trump, again, rushing ahead, not really thinking of the consequences, just being sort of in-your-face Trump, which frankly is never a pleasant experience for most of us. But again, you are being reminded to stay strong, to have faith, to keep your thoughts powerful, keep your thoughts positive, because it is the truth and light that is going to ultimately guide you out of this place into a more balanced way of moving kind of forward. So there you have it. Interesting things, a couple of extra things, just things I want to touch base on. There was something that came out, I think it was just before the weekend or over the weekend. It was kind of interesting. It was talking about in red states that, really, really went strong for Trump. They have noticed a increase in just across the board bullying. And that's not surprising because from a national perspective and with the way the Republicans are behaving, there is a very clear message that is getting sent out that literally says, if you are a bully, people will back away, people will comply, people will do what you want, because the president of the country has managed to make that happen within his own party. And so, again, there's going to be so much stuff that needs to be corrected and fixed and healed going forward. So in many ways, it's, again, super, super important that moving forward, there's some real focus on positive energy and keeping the truth front and center. I also want to make a bit of an announcement here. I had a viewer. Her name is Deborah Chapman. She is, I think I've spoken about her maybe before. She does sort of past life information. That was the kind of reading I got from her. It was very informative, but she hit on a couple of things that were so specific that I actually was aware of. And it was like almost like splitting hairs. She got details that it stopped me because the kind of details she came up with were really sort of breathtaking. So she has decided to do a holiday mediumship special. Let me get this in front of me. For the holidays, it's a mediumship special. If you are interested, you're going to go in lowercase to Deb, D-E-B, Chapman, no space. So DEBCHAP at iCloud.com. Also, I have asked her to please put her information in the comments section. So if you're interested, scroll through, find those comments, and if you're interested, go ahead and pursue that. I can vouch for her on authenticity and her accuracy, certainly as it pertained to me. So congratulations, Deb, on this new venture. I wish you every success, and I hope that there are lots of people who are energetically drawn to take a look at what you are offering. Secondly, I'm going to remind you again to please double check your subscriptions. Make sure that your notification bell is engaged if you are wanting actually notifications. It's a very interesting thing. I monitor my subscribers rather closely, and it's very interesting how I'll get many new subscribers in a row and then it freezes. It just stops for several days. And it seems as soon as I say this and people start checking, they realize that some of their subscriptions have been canceled. I'm not only talking my channel, I'm talking your favorites. Keep an eye on all of your favorite channels. Make sure you are actually still subscribed to them. And if you have that notification bell engaged, make sure it continues to be engaged. Because something just a little weird is going on, and I don't know if this is direct from YouTube or it's energetically. I'm not quite sure, but it has been a little strange. And since Mercury has gone direct, this kind of stuff should be settling down. So again, just check, do that. Again, thank you, each and every one of you, for the comments. I adore them. The subscriptions are, thank you. The thumbs up, the views, they are all part of this channel growing, and I am incredibly grateful. So I think that's it for now. Until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.